Welcome to Ancile Academy podcast. What if every student in India had an access for honest, complete, and affordable guidance for studying abroad, all in one place? It's no longer a dream. That's exactly what today's guest is set out to build. We are sitting with this man. The reason behind thousands of students now have clear path to their dream universities abroad. Please welcome our founder, Nrupen Mandava.
Hey Venkat, thank you.
Nrupen, before Ancile Academy, who were you and what was your world like?
I was a silly teenager like anybody else, but with a lot of dreams. I had two older sisters that immigrated to the US prior to me, so I had some level of understanding of what the opportunities look like. But when it came to the time to make a decision, should I move to the US? Is it Canada? Is it UK? Is it Australia? The four popular countries at the time. I still picked US because I thought US is the land of opportunity. And then at the time, the internet companies were doing really well. This was 2009. Remember, Facebook just started. It's a dream time for anybody to be in the US.
Exactly.
So my younger sister at the time, she lived in Canada. So she moved from US to Canada. So I had a Canadian green card by then. And then anybody now would tell you, if you have a green card, just go to the country. But for me, I picked the country with the best opportunity. At the time, I didn't have any immigration status. I was going as a student to the US. But even with a green card, I didn't want to go to Canada because it was a very interesting time in the US with all these internet companies. And I think it's the same happening now with everything that's happening with AI and all the changes that are coming with AI. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the United States. And I think prior to Ancile Academy, I went to the US as a student, finished my master's, found a job, worked at a company called VMware. I started two businesses. I was in the food industry for a little bit. And then I started the consulting, IT consulting business, ran a successful business. We make put 10 million in annual revenue. That's about 90 crores. Right. And then I started Ancile Academy as a way to help other students with dreams to fulfill their dreams and also to obtain the opportunities that a lot of students without guidance would have never had. For example, our family, my dad was a central government employee, and we had very limited opportunities. If not for my sisters immigrating there, right? So my sisters went there. Their education uplifted our family, both economically and otherwise, right?
Yeah.
I had the opportunities I had and the guidance that I had to pick the right country just because somebody else made the move ahead of me. But not everybody's lucky. Maybe you're the oldest in your family, or maybe nobody has immigrated to another country from your family. Maybe you're from a distant village, remote village. But in today's internet world, the playing field is level, right? Everybody has access to the same information. But who can help you walk these steps? The information is a lot. Is it UK? Is it Ireland? Is it this? Is that? That friend says maybe Ireland is great. Maybe another friend says, oh, you shouldn't go to Ireland because there is racism, right? So there's so many factors that you need to consider. And then this solution has to be tailored to your needs, to your financial situation, and a lot of other things. It's not a one-size-fit-all kind of a solution, right? Because if I tell you go to Australia, that doesn't make sense because that's just a random advice without actually knowing the facts that are specific to your case, pertaining your case. You go to a lawyer, you go to a doctor, they would never give you generic advice.
Exactly.
Right? They would check for your history, they would look at what might be possibly going wrong. Everybody looks at the facts of the case. That is what I want to do with Ancile Academy, is dig deep, understand you better, and provide you a path that helps you fulfill your dreams and get the best opportunities that you deserve.
That's a familiar feeling actually for many students. Can you paint us a picture how a landscape look like?
Yeah, one word, terrible. Look, I went to the US in 2009. It was peak of the financial crisis, the great financial crisis. One crisis that matches the great financial crisis is the 1929 Great Depression. There were no jobs. It was absolutely chaos, pandemonium, right? It was an absolutely terrible time to be in the US. And I kind of feel like that's the situation that a lot of kids, confusion that a lot of kids have today, is the job market is terrible, is now a good time to immigrate. But landscape changed fairly quickly, right? So I went in 2009, everybody was leaving the country. They were not happy about immigrants being there. Home values have fallen like 50%. Imagine 50% in like a single quarter or something, right?
Yeah.
So that's a terrible time to be in the US thinking about jobs or education. But I didn't know better. I can see that the internet companies are doing well. I can see that technology is changing quickly. I was only focused on the positives. I mean, I was too naive and too young to think about what could go wrong, right? But then something really wonderful happened. 2011, by the time I graduated, there were so many jobs, more jobs than I could pick, right? I had so many opportunities. I was just overwhelmed. Sometimes, you have this imposter syndrome where you're thinking, am I the right person for this job? Can I do this job? They're giving me this job, sure. They're giving me this pay. Am I the right person to do this? Right? But then, I picked the best opportunity I could, and that's the best decision I could ever make because I learned so much. And my career trajectory and my knowledge and my business trajectory has changed substantially. And had I waited a couple more years, I don't think I would be there when the opportunity came or the opportunities overwhelmed people. I would be delayed by 2 years and probably I would not have gotten the kickstart that I've got. So students today thinking about, oh, there's Trump, there's problem with the job market, there's some immigration hate in countries like Australia or maybe Ireland. There's some pushback against immigrants. I mean, because the job market is tough, housing market is unaffordable, there's inflation, there's all the COVID-related money that the government's pumped. So all things considered, I think you should still make the move. You should. I mean, I'm not saying India is not great at the moment. India is also wonderful at the moment. But there are other things that young people should explore. It's not just the job and career, right? There's a lot more things that these countries can offer that India doesn't at this time, right?
Exactly.
So you have a lot of outdoor activities, you have professionalism, you have cultural exchanges, food. I mean, I still love eating biryani all the time, right? That doesn't mean I don't want to experience Peruvian food, like seafood, or maybe Chinese food, or Thai food, or experience different cultures. Like I go to a Chinese New Year party, I get invited to a Vietnamese party. There's all this cultural exchange. So that I think makes me a better person than I could have been just by staying back in India. All the experiences that I bring back to India also is helping India grow. So maybe you stay there a few years, learn what you can, and then maybe come back to India, right? Or just continue there, keep beating up on the opportunities there. I know a lot of people that became ultra rich, people with no background, no money back home, took a big risk, maybe have an acre, 2 acres of land. Think about it today, an acre of land that's like maybe 50 lakh rupees was only 1 lakh. But then the tuition fees was not any less. If it's $10,000 today, maybe it was $8,000. So imagine the amount of risk those guys took back in the day versus the guy that's taking today. So your risk is very minimal today. For you to go there and for you to pay the tuition fees, you're not taking as much as a risk as guys took 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when asset prices were not as high, right? Exactly. So now you have so many things that you could do to finance your loan. The financing situation is better. Back then, banks were like, no, I'm not giving you a loan. Right? They're not very friendly. Now credit has become easier. You have access to different financial tools. And I think that is the sole reason why you should pursue education abroad. You can become a better person and you can become a much higher level of professional than you normally would by staying back in this country.
These are the true words, actually.
Thank you.
How did you decide on the name Ancile Academy? There is something distinctive about it.
It is distinctive. The reason we picked this name is because of the purpose that we chose, right? We want to be a shield in front of all the challenges the students are facing. So we want to be this one force that is stopping all the confusion and then give you a clear path. So in Roman history, Ancile has always been a shield for the army, and it would protect these armies from invasions or enemy invasions or so on and so forth. So we wanted to be that shield in front of the students that are being overwhelmed with all these different directions, all these different career choices, and give them a path. So we take all the hits and they take the benefit.
That's actually a tip. Tell us about those early days. What is the motto and main reason for starting Ancile Academy?
Sure. So I started the consulting firm way before I started Ancile Academy, as you probably already know. Right?
Yeah.
As I get students that want jobs, and then as I look at their educational profiles, I was flabbergasted because for my educational profile, like the kind of courses that I took, I went to North Carolina State University in Raleigh. That's a pretty high-ranked university. But from where I started and then where I ended up was very different from what other guys were doing. So they had really good GPAs. They went to great colleges in India, but they ended up going to like mediocre or sub-mediocre colleges in the US, which I find very surprising. And then when I talked to them and asked them, hey, what happened here? I went to North Carolina State. why were you going to Wayne State University, or why are you going to Lamar University, or Texas A&M Kingsville? Those are like the crappiest colleges that you could go to. They offer nothing. Right? The first thing you go there is you find an off-campus job, and then you zero educational value, right? And that shows up when you come for the job search, because the guy who's professionally trained at a good university is very different when he approaches the job market, when he's facing interviews. So he's actually trained by the university in a certain way, which does not usually happen if you go to a sub or possibly a lower grade university. So when I looked at these profiles, then I thought to myself, something's going wrong. And I went on this investigative path to figure out what is going wrong and where it's going wrong. As I spoke to a lot of these candidates, one pattern appeared clear to me. Right? The goal of the study abroad consultancies that are sending the students is maximizing their revenue, not choosing the best career path or the best opportunity for the student. Right? If they have a deal with a university that pays them a certain amount of fee, they were inclined to send you to that specific university and not, choose what is right for you. Right? Even if the country doesn't make sense, even if the course doesn't make sense, if they think you're some kind of a hog that they can chop up, they were happy to send you to the university, make money, and post it all over the internet that, hey, I have this successful visa, right? But did he have a successful career? Nobody's looking back. I mean, actually, honestly speaking, once you've gone to the country, they never even contact you and ask you, hey, how are you doing, right? So this has been my primary motivation, to get kids to go to the universities that they deserve, to go to the courses that they deserve, and find the opportunities that they deserve, right? It's very important because I've seen personally how all the opportunities can change lives back in India. Like they uplift their families, their extended families. There are 20 families that go through this upliftment phase because of one guy doing it right. So if I can make a difference, if I can make sure these guys match with the right opportunities, that means I'm also doing some kind of charity back to my home country, right? I moved to the US about 20 years ago. I've been a citizen for about 10 years. But this is my home country and that's my adopted country. And I wanted to do something for my home country. So if I match the students with right opportunities and then help them get a job, get settled in their careers, I feel that they can uplift their families, extended families, and that does a lot of good in the villages back in my home country. And that's the whole reason why I want to do this, is not just for the money or opportunities or anything like that, but to give back to my home country that gave me a lot.
That's actually a powerful idea.
Thank you.
So Academy started growing. What was the first sign that told you this is working and we are on the right track?
You'll be no stranger to challenges, right?
Exactly.
I like picking difficult problems, and we've had a few difficult students that we were able to help. And one memorable candidate was Elia. So he'd gone to 5 consultancies up until that point. They looked at his finances, they looked at his academics, and they were not able to help him out, right? So he was being bounced around like a tennis ball. He would go around all these places. He wanted to immigrate so bad, right? So he came to us, and I took it upon me as a challenge. So I've analyzed what his coursework looked like, what additional courses he needed to do, what to do with the finances, or which country and which course works best for him, for his finances, and for his academic profile, right? And we were able to get him a successful visa to Ireland, and that I think is the most memorable and happiest moment, because this candidate who's lost all hope, who's given up on his dream of immigrating, and we were able to push him and send him abroad, and now they're a happy family.